When we go from Turkey to Hungary, we're making a little bit of a jump here in Europe in terms of geography because we come a little more to the center of Europe. Hungary is a fascinating place, also in many different ways again, because here people speak a language that's a little bit unusual for Europe in general. Let me tell you this in a general context. When you speak to people in Italy, or in Spain, or in Portugal, or in France, or even in Romania, they speak a Romance tongue. They're somewhat related. If you speak to people in the Netherlands, in Norway, in Denmark, in Germany, or in England, or in America for that matter, they speak a Germanic tongue. And then you have, in most parts of Eastern Europe, you have Slavic tongues being spoken. But Finnish, as well as the Magyar, or the Hungarian, is basically from a very different family. That's a Uralic tongue. Therefore, when somebody says words in Hungarian or in Finnish, you will not understand one word unless every now and then something appears in the language that may indicate something special. So no matter what language you are in, you will understand the word Rubik, because it's Rubik's Cube that was basically invented by an individual named Rubik in Hungary. So certain words come back. This is the thing that drives me crazy. I bought it at some point, supposedly for my son, and he's actually working better on it than I do, and I've been trying to solve this puzzle. I got it like this, with all 6 faces perfectly aligned, and now it looks more like this, and I don't know quite how to get back to this one again. Have you done this before? You good at it? All right, good. And you have more brain than I do when it comes to the Rubik's Cube. All right, good. Other people and important folks from Hungary would be, for example, the inventor of the helicopter. You all know helicopters, Mr. Asbach. Oscar Asbach was born and lived in Hungary, is the inventor of the helicopter. You may think of the capital of Hungary, which is Budapest, a beautiful place. You may think of traditional clothing that Hungarians have, beautiful outfits. This is an historic doll that shows you a typical outfit for perhaps a man or for a woman, which they may still wear today when they have their folk dances. Now remember, tomorrow we have folk dances here at the conference center. There's a folk dance competition. You may see some awesome costumes when you come. Hungary is also connected with things we like to eat, perhaps. One of my favorites is so-called goulash, which is really, really awesome. Can be a little bit on the spicy side. A real goulash is made, I understood, after hours and hours of hard work and celebrating the making of goulash. It's a beautiful custom, basically. And many, many other things may be connected with Hungary, such as the pan flute, a particular instrument you can play if you know how to play it. I do not, so I'm not going to even try. And having said all that, we're going to move from Hungary to the next place, the Czech Republic. Just scoot over a little bit, because you're going to have to eventually come closer anyway. And as you scoot over, the next country, Czech Republic. Czech Republic is, as it says here on the poster board, located in the heart of Europe. It's sort of like the geographic center of Europe, and it has various neighboring countries. I mean, you have Germany on one side, you have basically Austria, you have Slovakia. Czechoslovakia was a country until 1993, and then it split up peacefully into 2 different entities, the Czech Republic and Slovakia. And you have also Poland up to the northeast, basically. The Czech Republic is a country that has about 10 million inhabitants. It's not very large in terms of population. Like many places in Europe, you can see wonderful castles. You have one castle that's not too far outside from the capital of the Czech Republic, from Prague. Prague itself, beautiful place to visit, has many, many historic buildings, just any place in Europe. You think you're living in a historic place in the United States, you're thinking maybe something like antebellum, like 17th, 18th century if you're lucky. Many places go back to the Middle Ages. Some of them have Roman ruins, some of them have Greek ruins, so we're going back to almost thousands of years in time. It's always worth a trip for that matter. You may have other individuals that I could point out. Miss World 2006 came from the Czech Republic. We have basketball players from all over Europe really playing also in the NBA. Usually Welsh would be one individual who played basketball successfully. And there are many more things to say about the Czech Republic. It is a democratic country. Like many countries in Eastern Europe, once the Soviet Union ceased to exist, and there's the downfall of the Soviet Union, many countries turned away from communism and turned toward democracy, basically. So many more things could be added, but we have not as much time, so I'm going to move on to the next country. By the way, if you go to the Czech Republic, you will hear people speaking a Slavic tongue. There's this division into Germanic tongues in parts of northern, western parts of Europe, to Romance tongues in southern parts of Europe, over to Slavic tongues in the eastern part, with some exceptions here and there. Now we're going to come to a country where they speak German. You all know at least one word by heart that is German, and you may not realize that. Before you get into first grade, what are you in? Kindergarten. Kindergarten literally means garden for children. Kinder is the German word for children, basically. And that's the place where I went to, where all children go when they're not quite yet ready yet for school, before they really come into first grade. A lot of things you can connect with Germany, all the unhealthy food, in comparison to Italian food and Greek food, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. It's not quite as healthy, but never mind, I still love to eat it. And you have certainly chocolates you may connect with Germany, like Milka chocolate. More importantly though, for my kids at least, you have this here. What are they called? If you say that in German, now let's say this in German. Gummibärchen. Hey, you guys are perfect. Perfect German. All right. Gummibärchen. And other things you may connect with Germany, like certain Christmas traditions. No, that's not a nutcracker. That's a Nussknacker. There you go. That's what it's called. It's a Nussknacker. And this Nussknacker can also talk. It's going to teach you how to count from 1 to 10 in German. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Wow, you guys are good. A couple other things. By the way, the money that they have in many places in Europe, not all, some people are not participating in this, is the so-called euro. So formerly you needed to have, the peseta, the escudos, the shilling, the lira, and what have you, the Deutschmark. And nowadays, in most places, you just use the euro, which is the common currency throughout most of Europe. Last thing on Germany, you all know the Grimm fairy tales. Hansel and Gretel. It doesn't get any more German when it comes to the title. And they have also Snow White, and something with some dwarfs and a mountain. I think it was 7 of them. And all sorts of other stories are connected with basically these particular individuals. Then you have musicians such as Bach and Beethoven. Maybe you have a person like Albert Einstein, who lived and was born in Germany for many years until he had to flee the Nazis. Martin Luther lived in Germany, basically the head of, or most instrumental individual for the Reformation. Many, many stories could be told here, but I now need to move on to the next country. And I'm going to say Auf Wiedersehen, which is like they would say in Russian, Do svidaniya, which means goodbye. Okay, but we're not going to leave Russia just yet. Russia. Russia is the largest country in the world. Russia basically spans from up here the northern part of the Pacific, where you have a place like Providenia, all the way over to Kaliningrad, which is directly on the Baltic Sea. If you would travel from over here to the Baltic Sea, basically, you're going through 11 different time zones. 11 time zones. Just get this straight. We have only a couple here in relationship. So this is really, really a large country. And the things you may connect with Russia, or perhaps you have seen the Russian flag before. This is the Russian flag. Other things you may connect with Russia are these dolls that are fun to get. You can buy them in stores. You have a visit Russia, and you just kind of take them apart. And there's one after the other. And it takes about a half hour, so by the time I'm done with this, England's going to go crazy because I haven't talked about England yet. And it kind of keeps going like this until you come to the really, 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 really small ones. And it goes a little further than that. I'm just losing them if I keep going. It's a really little tiny dolls, okay? The capital of Russia is what? Moscow. Right. And there are famous tennis players from Russia, and female tennis players in particular. And you may think of St. Petersburg, or Peter the Great, Catherine the Great. All of these are big names coming from Russia. And when you think of famous chess players, they come from Russia many times. A lot of other stories one could talk about. But now I have to say in Russian, Do svidaniya, which means Auf Wiedersehen, which means ciao, which means goodbye. All right? Let's go to Spain.